All right. And now, sync test. Three,
Three,
two,
two,
1. I
Okay.
don't know how on we were on with that.
Yeah, well, either way, I mean, it'll be fine. So,
Yeah,
um,
well, will I keep this in? Like, I promise I won't sometimes. Who knows? But,
all right.
welcome to, well, really?
Hey, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know you were just immediately starting, Matt. Come on.
All right. Yeah, now we're recording again. Ready?
Oh, you stopped your recording.
No, I didn't stop.
Oh, okay,
I'm still
good.
going.
All right,
We're gonna keep all
restart.
this in.
This time, restart. Okay.
You will not. Don't stop the recording. I'm leaving all this in.
No, I'm not stopping. I'm just saying you just re-say your thing.
All right, the joys of remote records, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, episode 60 of the Action Toon Bros. Here we are once again after another hiatus.
Holy shit, we're on.
Even though it won't seem like one after the Spawn finale we just got finished.
Oh my
But,
god, yeah. Wait,
we're
we're
on
all.
episode 60. Wait,
Holy
who am I?
shit.
Oh, my name
Holy
is
man.
Matthew Lewis, and my partner in crime.
Ben Sturgeon right here, and yeah, holy shit, we're at 60 episodes already. Damn, we've been going a long
even
time.
though it took us I think it's taken us like 4 years to get this far, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, we've had our ups, we had our downs, and now, because through the joys of remote.
Recordings.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so,
but now we are winding down on the second part of Primal, an amazing Genda Tartakovsky series that is just full of the most amazing action. So Ben, before we start, what were your thoughts on the season? What did you think of like the weird change and everything that we're going to get into in a bit?
Oh, that's right, because we did, yeah. So obviously with season 1, I think I may have mentioned in the last time we did Primal was I liked seeing like the different evolutions of man, whereas Spear was the highest form, with Cro-Magnon, and then we got to see all of the other ones. This one, the shift in that, I kind of liked it because I was wondering where it was gonna go, and seeing these first 5 episodes of season 2, really, I really was like, you know what? Yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense. It wasn't like there
really?
was no.
I was gonna say it makes almost no sense.
No. We'll get into that when we get in there. But trust me, it made sense that this would be the next step that they went, in my opinion. And I mean, granted, from what I hear about the last half of season 2, things get really fucky wucky. But
yeah.
But right now, I actually kind of liked the direction they were going. I mean, yeah, is it a singular like linear story right now? Yeah, it is. Whereas like season 1 was, it's just man with dino.
Yeah,
go
random adventures.
Yeah, well, this one actually looks like it's gonna have a cohesive story, but
an ongoing plot, which is a huge change for the series. Which it's very, very interesting.
Indeed, yeah. But anyway, we'll have to get into more details as we start the episodes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's a lot less dinosaur facts this half of the season because there's a lot less dinosaurs in general. But there's still a lot of weird shit we got to get into every episode wise, which is gonna be fun to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah.
Okay. Yep. So you ready to start the series?
Let's start this bad boy up
with episode 1.
Sea of Despair.
That's gonna be very, very off.
It's gonna throw me off every time. Well,
I was gonna say, was the big red letters for the title, was that new? I feel like that was not the same as last season.
Yes, because in season 1 it was all white on black. Now it's red on black for season 2. And speaking of which, before we actually get into episode 1 of this, for a recap, last thing we saw in the final episode of season 1 was Mira got captured.
Yeah, Mira, the first like human we've seen in the show besides Spear's original family.
Right. Well, no, wait. Spear's original family was not Cro-Magnon?
Well, they're Cro-Magnon, but I'm saying that's the first like more evolved humanoid we've seen in the ape men of like the 3 different types of ape men we saw last season.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, either way, and at the end of that episode, we got Spear actually saying his first human word. Not grunts and yells. It was, of course, Mira. And
Yep,
now starting on episode 1.
Yep, he shouts again, Mira, as we see him try to swim after the scorpion boat. And he also like completely starts drowning because he can't swim that far. And Fang's on the shore just staring at him like, what the hell is that idiot doing? She like watches him from the coast, but eventually roars, and he like washes ashore just like completely, passed out, unable to swim that far. He then looks at the sea, and he's inspired to build a boat by watching a leaf floating on the water. He begins to chop down a tree using one of the man-ape axes that he stole last season from all the man-apes that he like killed at the end of that season.
Right, yeah.
Fang helps by knocking down some trees and shit too.
And surprisingly enough, all day and all night, and surprisingly enough, they actually build a pretty decent raft.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it seems a little too small for Fang, and she refuses to get on because of the ocean, and she's a little bit freaked out by it.
And instead of doing his usual, like, yell at her to get on, he actually remembered what Mira taught him, and he starts leading her with grubs.
Yeah, those big, nasty-looking grub bug things. Spear finally gets her on the boat, and he begins to push it out while she's distracted eating the bugs, and then she starts, like, freaking out, like, wait, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like, hey, you tricked me, you.
Yeah, it's very, very cute. They float on the choppy water until it finally mellows out a bit, and then they see how like incredibly vast and like empty the sea is. They're both like,
right. And like when there's like a calm, Spear pushes for quite some time, tires himself out, and then as they're continuing their travels, and then even Fang is like, you know what, I'm done with this. Sits on the edge of the raft, and it like goes up out of the water and starts swishing her tail because swishing tail comes naturally to a T-Rex or whatever she may be.
She's like using it as a propeller for the boat to start actually going really fast, and it's really good. Then it becomes night, and they see a beautiful meteor shower and the stars and everything. They're just amazed at how absolutely beautiful it is. And also, of course, Genndy Tartakovsky's art style is like absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my god, it is. Especially like when you after the meteor shower, you see like the mirrored water.
Yeah, a really beautiful shot. It's so cool. They begin to hear some whale song, and they start freaking out because they don't know what the hell it is because they've never heard something like that before.
Yeah, they're like, the fuck is this? And it's just whales.
Yeah, they see a huge pod that's like peacefully just swimming around, and they're kind of just amazed and watch them swim by in another absolutely beautiful shot. They see once in the morning again. They see the beautiful sun rising on the water. It's another like just this whole episode is just full of like a really really like painterly wallpaper ass looking beautiful art. It's just really fun.
Yeah, seriously. But then as they're they just woke up. Fang, understandably, is like hungry. So, she roars, saying like, hey, I'm hungry. And speaking of how vast the sea is, every single attempt that Spear goes under the water to look for fish ends up with nothing. Absolutely nothing.
They cannot find any food, and also they are beginning to get blistered by the constant, like, unsheltered sun that they're suffering through.
Yep, funny. Because they built a raft. AKA, that's all they did was just a raft.
They also need to float on the sea. They kind of shift around all day and all night, uncomfortable as hell, until they spot a giant sea turtle.
Yes. And then, of course, some obvious, like, Spear trying to strangle it, but its neck is way too thick.
He like gets dragged around by it in a really really funny ass fucking sequence.
But then he's like, oh wait, I have an idea. So he grabs it to strangle it, but he actually pulls it upwards. And then once the sea turtle like jumps up, Fang just bites its head until it doesn't move anymore.
He just completely chomps it. And then they see that they pull the body up onto the boat, and they just start like taking chunks off and just eating them raw because that's how they go.
What else can you do, right?
Yeah, they can't really start a fire on there. It's very funny. And then they realize, oh, hey, we can use its hollow shell for shade. And then you kind of prop it up with some of the bones. It's just a very like brutal but very funny looking little like raft shade. It's
cute. And it works very well because you have the blistering sun, you have rain, you have a whole bunch of other things happening, and it shelters them as it should. And for like, I don't know, like a few days pass. And
they continue to sail, and eventually they do see a gigantic storm on the horizon.
Another one, mind you, because during like the shot where they were underneath the shell, there was a storm, but this one's like huge.
Yeah,
so huge.
Also, I
that
was
you were
gonna say
saying?
they also see a large school of flying fish come past them. They start like grabbing them out of the air.
Yep. But what else do they see? Because there were those big like gray fish.
Dunkleosteus. It's that big, giant, like sharp mouth. You see them all the time in like museums and stuff. I love the
Right,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
I couldn't remember the name, but I remember seeing them because, like you said, in museums and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah,
they catch a whole bunch of flying fish, and they even catch like those big ones that you just said.
Dunkleosteus. Yeah.
Yep. And then you know what else do they see, Matt?
They also are attacked by a large, or oh no, they're not attacked. They're the flying reptiles that they get attacked by
Yeah,
first, right? The
yeah.
Ornithocheirus is what they are.
That one, yeah. See, and by the way, for those of you who don't remember, Matt is the dino expert.
Yeah, I absolutely love paleontology, but yes, Ornithocheirus is the flying reptiles that they're attacked by,
And
and
then,
they like
yep.
yeah. I'll see you go ahead with the next one happens.
Yeah, but then like they're getting attacked by them because they're taking the fish, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as they're like trying to fend them off while the rain starts picking up, a huge wave appears, and we get to see our first megalodon.
Hell yeah, a gigantic ass man. It's like that. I was gonna say meme image, but it's like a pretty common like artistic thing for people to draw, like a huge wave with like a massive shark inside the wave. It's such a fun aesthetic that you see a lot in like wallpapers and shit like that. It's a really cool thing. It completely upsizes their boat and destroys it like in 1 second.
Yeah, like the moment it comes on screen and eats one of those flying reptiles, it just lands boat shattered.
Yeah, it carries off Fang for a bit, but Spear does give chase and eventually does manage to like attack it a bunch and pry its mouth open a little bit.
He actually
And
does get like eaten by it,
yeah,
and then he, of course, dislodges like a piece of the boat. Once it starts opening its mouth to eat and like stabs it, it's a pretty intense fight.
yeah, very bloody as the series loves to be. We see that Spear does like eventually get out and stabs it in the eye, and it's like a huge bloody mess. But he's
Mm-hmm.
eventually slapped by the tail and completely like knocked out from that.
Yep,
We
and
see that Fang manages to save him, Fang saves him, and the storm is still completely strong, and they completely get separated once again.
yep, and then after the storm settles, we see Fang on a shore, and
Yeah,
she wakes up, looks around, roars for a spear, no response, and once again, Fang is alone.
hell yeah! Another crazy separation of the team at the first episode of the season. I thought this episode was very, very pretty, and also like I just love. This is like one of the last times we see a large amount of like prehistoric creatures once again, which is like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna miss that, but it's still gonna be a really bizarre ass season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And oh my gosh, like this one like setting the tone for like, their travels and everything like that. Like you said, this episode specifically was very visual. Like there wasn't really a lot of fighting scenes until like the very end and maybe a little bit with those winged reptiles, but other than that,
Yeah,
it was all just survival and it was very beautiful. Like, I mean, Gendy Tartakovsky is phenomenal, not only with his character designs, not only with his storytelling, but with his fucking like backdrops. Like you said, it's like wallpaper kind of thing.
yeah, gorgeous. I was gonna say, Ben, what's the longest like sea voyage you've ever taken?
Me?
Yeah,
You assume I've ever been on the sea before?
really, you haven't?
The closest, and by the way, that meaning I'm not even close, mind you,
Or a
guys.
water voyage, at least water.
Yeah,
Anything.
water voyage. The longest I've ever been on was on a ferry going to Kelly's Island.
Where's Kelly's Island?
Oh, wait, you really don't know?
No, not off the top
I'm
of my head now.
okay. I'm sorry. That actually surprised me. So about there's this place close to Sandusky, about like I think it was like 25 minutes away from it, called
Mm-hmm.
Marblehead. Called Marblehead, and it's on the lake, and you can take a ferry, a boat, to somewhere in Lake Erie, like in the actual like lake of Lake
Yeah.
Erie. There's an island. It's called Kelly's Island. It's got like it's like a town. There's cars
Oh,
there. There's like restaurants there. There's houses. I think there's like maybe one or two hotels, but it's an actual place like a lot of people go to. And I haven't been there since I was like yay big, as I, show a visual
Gesture for the
representation.
I got footage of it. Don't worry.
Gesture so hard that they actually can see through the audio. But since I was like, I don't know, 10, 11 maybe. I was really young last time I was there. But I remember it not being too bad, actually. It was a very nice, very what's a good word? Quaint little town.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a quaint place. And
Mm.
yeah, but that is as far as sea travel, I air quote sea travel, as I've gotten to, even though Lake Erie is nowhere the sea. What about you, Matt?
Yeah. I was gonna say, similar to that. I was saying Put in Bay in Ohio is like a nice journey that me and my family go on. Sometimes like every couple of years or so, we go to Put in Bay, which is not that far of a drive, a swim. But whenever we go to California, we sometimes go to Catalina Island, which is kind of like a very fun little like resort, beautiful ass place. It's like what is that, the Pacific over there?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little island. It's like a little island right off of California. It's not that far, but it's a beautiful ass island with a bunch of just like resorts and fun stuff and like bison and shit like that. There's also not that long of a boat trip. I've never taken like a cruise, I don't think, but we are like planning one possibly to Hawaii this year, which would be very, very fun.
Oh, that'll be amazing.
But yeah, but also like the idea of being like stuck on a boat that long is also just like insanely creepy. It's just like it's stressful.
Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, finish your story first. Yeah.
Oh, no. I was saying it's very stressful, the idea of it. And if we do end up doing it, it's going to be like crazy. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually a goddamn idiot. Because literally in my room, I have a photo album. In high school, actually, I actually went to Belize. And we actually did go on the ocean. I forget which one it is nearby. I'm not good with geography, but there was
specific.
Well, oh no, Belize. I think it was actually the Atlantic side. I think we were on.
Yeah,
I think it was the Atlantic. Well, either way, it was like a tour kind of thing. So like we went to one of the islands off of the coast of Belize, but we also actually got to go and like snorkel through one of the few barrier reefs.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. It was gorgeous, and I saw a friend get kissed by a manta ray. And by that I mean I heard him scream, and all of a sudden he had a ring around his back because it bit him. Yeah,
that's funny.
But yeah,
that's a cool story for that dude.
If you ever want to, like, if we ever see, like, if we're ever gonna like hang out physically, I'll bring those pictures so you can see like all of those pictures. So
yeah,
they're old.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're old, but I mean, it was one of the very few times that going on a mission trip was actually enjoyable because I had to go out of country.
Yeah, that sounds cool as hell.
But yeah,
the other thing I wanted to discuss was what's your favorite sea animal, prehistoric or modern?
Oh, that is actually a toughie. I would say
I'll go. If you want to, if you know yours, you go ahead.
Oh no! Oh! I mean, it is a tough question, like a tough question, but I would say, at least to look at, not actually go up near for obvious reasons. I've always had a fascination with jellyfish. They look so like otherworldly, and every time like you see like documentaries or like any movie or something and it's like nighttime, they always have that bioluminescence with them.
Yeah, was there some in this episode that we forgot to mention?
Oh yeah. Remember the mirrored the night shot with the mirrored scene, yeah, there was a whole bunch of them in that shot.
Yeah, very beautifully colored.
Oh my goodness, different colors. Yeah, but like just yeah, they're just, I don't know. I've always been fascinated just because they're so different, so weird,
Yeah, they're weird ass, immortal ass, creepy things that just look like a floating trash bag that's immortal and can kill you.
Yeah, that's true.
They're weird, freaky things. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, I was gonna say, I already said it earlier in the episode, but Dunkleosteus. Whenever I see those like really, really detailed bone structures on the face, I'm always curious because like, there's a lot of speculation on what they actually look like and how big they were. Like, their heads are huge, but people think that they might actually be like sunfish, where like they're very like flat and like not very long, but they're actually mostly just like the head part, which would be really fucking weird because you don't find too many of the rest of the bones on theirs. So they might be like really like flat, wide, like sunfish. But yeah, you have
Interesting.
the whole like all the way down to their eyes are like bone structured around. Their teeth are like crazy giant fangs. I just love the aesthetic of those things. They're so fucking weird.
That is, yeah, and I see where you're coming from though, because they look so. I mean, anything that's prehistoric looks kind of weird,
Of
especially
course.
since Gendy did his freaking research.
Yeah, he does an amazing job, and I just love the aesthetic. But I felt like sea life has always been very fascinating to me, but I've never really had like that much of an invested interest in it. But like sharks are always very cool. The dolphins and whales and seals and everything like that. They're all very fascinating to look at. But also like, all the minor stuff like the weird ass jellyfish or like starfish and all kinds of weird ass things down there. It's just a really, really weird world that like, you barely think about most of the time. But I'm glad that you actually got to see Spear and Fang actually interact with a vast sea and have to come over the actual difficulty of traveling that fucking far without knowing where they're going.
Oh, absolutely. Finally, they get to go blindly into the unknown.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right. Now, ready for episode 2?
Yes, we are. Episode 2 of season 2,
Shadow
Shadow of
of
Fate.
Fate. Let's see
That
how close that's going
is,
to be.
yeah, right.
That's gonna be way off.
So how do we start off on this one?
Oh, it opens up on Fang, still on the. Actually, there's like two little animals fighting over something, but we zoom up to see Fang waiting on the beach for Spear, just kind of sitting around like, where the hell is he? They might need to find him. Just completely freaked out still. We see that she smells something after waiting for a really long time, and she kind of just wanders off into the woods, hoping that she'll find him over there. She sees a figure she thinks is Spear for a second, but it's actually just a weird mossy rock with a stick next to it, and she's like very disappointed.
Yeah, they pull the, oh, is it him? Is it him? No.
Yeah, a very funny silhouette gag. She finds some tracks, and she realizes that it is another T-Rex.
And then she actually follows them, and it is
Yeah.
revealed that it is another T-Rex, a red T-Rex.
Yeah, he runs off and she follows. He kind of spies on her for a little bit while like she's like wandering around a rock trying to track him. And he kind of like just like messes with her a little bit.
Right. And as she loses track, we see a I don't know, sugar glider kind of creature.
Yeah, a little flying squirrel like thing.
Yep, and it just
I was
like flies around over to the different part of the island where it lands on a hand.
Yeah, it's catching some bugs and then it lands on some knuckles. And oh my god, it's Spear!
Yep, Spear is alive. Don't worry. You thought he was going to be dead in episode 2? He's not, kids. And he's just laying there because, he's passed the fuck out because, with all that swimming and everything that happened. And we
also
see...
being knocked out by the Megalodon.
Oh, yes, and he fought a Megalodon.
He slapped by the tail of it, yeah.
And, probably dislocated his arm because he fell down when he got hit and, smashed his arm against rocks or something. But... As we see him just laying there, not moving at all, we see 3 silhouettes of people. We see people, humans. And he just they go over and they pick him up and they start dragging him away somewhere.
Yeah, and then we see a grazing Aurocinotherium, which is the twin-horned rhino. Which is I love those things. All the prehistoric pachyderms like Platybelodon and all those weird ass things are fun as hell to look at.
Right.
We see the Aurocinotherium, which is just a 2-horned rhino. It's kind of just eating grass and looking around, but we see that both the Rexes are tracking it down.
Yep, and they actually do go up. I think even though it was standing defiantly, I think it actually was confused. Oh my god, there's 2 of them.
Freaked out. Yeah, it's very, very freaked out when it sees both of them on either side of it.
And of course, and of course they both attack each side. Fang getting the killing blow.
Look, they literally yank it out of the air, both grabbing it at both ends, just wrangling it around like 2 dogs fighting over a cup of meat. It's just so fucked up. Because this is a huge ass rhino, and they're just flopping it around.
Yeah, but as that happens, Fang and this other one, which I don't think ever has a name.
No, I don't think. It's probably just red or something. But yeah,
they just stare down at each other, and Fang is growling, and for the sake of this, we'll call him Red. Red just puts down his part, lets her eat, and starts walking away man, looks like I'm gonna have to find something else to eat. But then Fang tosses a piece of meat to him and get over here, you dork. And then they both eat.
Yeah. And then they just start sharing it. It's very, very cute. we see Spear awake in a hut, and he is covered from head to toe in mud. And he starts freaking out as he wants to do all the time. And he's like
Well,
ripping out. Oh, yeah.
Well, he doesn't just freak out like ripping off his things. He also sees that, there's weird eyeballs hanging up and weird other things and bottles and an old lady with a weird like closed eye who screams at
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, she screams at him something. He's like, oh, he's like freaking out, rips off his cast. He bumps into the witch and knocks over some like weird components and starts a weird purple fire in her like laboratory or whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, in her fucking witch hut or whatever. And
Yeah.
this commotion causes someone else with a spear to like run in like, hey, what's going on? Oh, you're attacking. Because they always assume that. It was all this then. But then, Spear like pushes him out of the way and a big old chase scene occurs with everyone in like a kind of buried trench like village.
Yeah, we see him run out and he is in a village full of Celts.
Yep. And they all like, some of the men are like an entire group of men are like chasing Spear. All of these humans are, Homo sapien, mind you.
Yeah.
Straight up Homo sapien chasing around this big Cro-Magnon man while one of them like runs out and sees the commotion and it looks like he's about to like do something like cut someone off and as Spear gets to a corner he starts flailing and
he does grab a spear. He does grab a spear at one point.
Yeah, you're right, he does grab a spear and he just like gets cornered and he starts like flailing it around, screaming and yelling because that's all he knows how to do. And as the other men start getting up to attack, the one guy who was going to cut someone off at the pass stands in between Spear and the mob and starts speaking in actual, I believe it was Irish Gaelic.
Yep, it is Gaelic.
Yeah, and pretty much, and I know it's not trusted a lot, but it's Google Translate. But he pretty much like tells him to stand down, and then
get back, stay back.
Yep, get back, stay back. And as Spear like is just panting, he tells one of them to in their language to get water.
Yep.
And
finally,
then
the person brings the water and like he tells everybody to get back again. He puts the water down and Spear like swings his spear again at them and they're kind of back up again. We see that his arm is injured at this point. Finally, it's like clear that his arm is very injured. He can't really lift up. He has to like shoulder the spear under his arm and then like use his good hand to pick up the water.
and then as that's happening, they get food and you can see in this scene right here, you can definitely tell that Gendy knows how to communicate without using words.
Yeah.
And because you can see this Homo sapien looking at this Cro-Magnon, and he is not using any words to Spear to talk to him. He's just putting his hands up in defense, like, hey, hold on. Mm-hmm. And then like puts it down gently. And like he kind of is in a lowered state, like he's like showing submissiveness, like to wild animals.
Yeah, of course.
And then like when he puts the food down, like actually which he also shows like he pours the water in his hand and drinks it before he gives it to say, hey, it's not poisoned. It's just it's so sorry. I should have waited until after the episode to talk about this, but it's just like it's really good to know that Gendy knows how to communicate without actually communicating.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and
so yeah, it's really
fast. After the food and after the weird I'm gonna guess chief guy smiles and Spear smiles. Sure. Yeah, something like that. But they both smile, and then I think we go back to Fang at this point.
Yep, we see Fang and the male T-Rex kind of walking around in the forest. They see some like fermented fruit that's fallen from a tree, and the male Rex goes over and starts eating some, and they kind of get a little tipsy from the fermented fallen fruit on the ground, which is an actual real thing that does happen in the wild. And animals do, absolutely, and they are get drunk.
Absolutely, I mean we've seen it with squirrels and pumpkins, but it's just they get a little tipsy, and even like the red T-Rex, like some of the fruit like falls on their head, and the the red T-Rex like gives a lick to Fang like a drunken like I love you.
Yeah, he also does a little dance. He's like a little hopping around dance as they begin to eat, as they continue to eat the fruit, and they get just really fucked up on the fruit. It's very funny.
Yeah. And then, speaking of getting fucked up, we go back to Spear, who is
Yep.
now laying down with the village leader just looking at him like, "Hey, it's all right, buddy. It's all right." And the old lady from before
The
like
kooky old witch I
bends
said on my notes.
yeah, right, the kooky old witch. I mean, you're not wrong. Bends his arm in many different places that it shouldn't. And then
Yeah.
also like gets this like heated like bunch of branches and
Yeah, like a
literally just
birch branch
starts
or something like that. Yeah, just
and then starts
slacking.
wailing on Spear's arm, and Spear even like yells at her like, "Dude, stop!" And she's just like yells back like, "No!" Keeps doing it, and
It's very
then,
funny.
by the way, you could definitely tell this is primitive medicine because, and then she decides to take a literal wad of shit and
Yep.
rub it on his wounds. I'm like, dude, that's what you don't do. That's how you get sick.
Yeah, well, and maybe some kind of animal poop that's actually a beneficial. Who knows? I
Yeah.
hope so anyway.
But then
Yeah, she
after
knocks
all
him
that,
out.
after all of this, she like takes a bunch of like powder, liquid, whatever, purple stuff. She
Yeah, purple
actually
drink.
yeah, no, she took the purple stuff from the Sunny D commercials. She takes the purple stuff, and this is why nobody chooses the purple stuff because she blows it on Spear's face, and he passes the fuck out.
Yep. We get back to a quick scene of Fang and the red T-Rex playing in the leaves. It's very, very cute, and just a really quick scene of them just getting along and kind of flirtatiously having fun together. And then we cut back to Spear sitting by the fire with the Celts now, just kind of having a peaceful food, having like a nice little hangout with them. It's very, very cute. We see a little kid kind of like look at him and give him a smile, and then he kind of looks back at her and gives her a smile, but he scares her with how freaky he is.
It's just kind of funny because she just smiles and it's like, oh, it's endearing, and him being an ex-dad just smiles back like he would do, and she's just like, this guy's scary. His teeth are bigger than my head.
Yeah, and also it's like a bunch of like food and shit in his mouth, of course, because or Spear's a fucking mess.
Well, now, to be fair, the little kid had food in her mouth
yeah,
too.
exactly.
But anyway, it's just like they're all eating, and the leader is just like kind of smiling, like, you know what, this guy's pretty actually chill, and it's nighttime. The two T-Rexes go to lay down where Fang is like laying on the side of the of Red.
Yep,
And
we see them just spending the night together.
Yep, and then we see just another shot at night where Spear is like sitting looking out just sad because Mrs. Fang.
Of course, yeah. He kind of just walking around town at night. He sees either a wolf or a dog. I'm not really sure. But
I would say it was like a wolf because this was before dogs were a thing.
Yeah, well, they could have been breeding something by then, but who knows? But yeah, it looked like a little off, but I'm not sure. He sees it and he kind of it's kind of angry at him because it's eating some scrap on the ground, and he uses his skills from Fang to kind of pacify the animal as they both just sit on the street and eat the food on the ground.
Yep, like it's actually funny because it goes from like I'm growling to literally like I am puppy, here, have food.
Yeah, and then he kind of like, I miss the old wildness sometimes too, because he's like sitting out eating like on the ground like an animal, like with the dogs. Very, very cute, but also like sad.
Right.
We see Red and Fang the next day are back and walking around the forest. As they are walking, we see them pass some crazy spiky tree defenses, and they kind of sneak forward, and we see that they are actually sneaking into the Celt town.
Yep, and then of course we get Red leaping into action, and everyone's on alert, and they go to attack, and Spear comes out and sees Fang.
First we see the Red jumps into the city and starts like immediately chomping down on dudes. Fang's kind of looking on a little bit at the beginning, but then she just starts jumping in on him when they start just going through the town, ripping up people and eating a bunch of people. And then you're right, everyone starts getting all alert, and Spear comes out and sees her killing citizens, and he's just like, ugh.
Yeah, and it's funny because Fang sees Spear, and then once she sees he's there, she immediately drops the person that she has, is like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's very, very funny. And then we see that Red tries to attack, and she kind of gets in between them, saying, "No, no, 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 no! Do not attack him. He's good. He don't
Yeah,
don't
he's good.
hurt.
He's one of us.
He's my
And then
human." Yeah,
Spear, yeah, and then Spear goes to attack Red, and Fang is like, no, 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 no. We're cool. This is my dino. This is mine. We're cool.
yeah. But he tries to get on her to ride her, but she knocks him off, and he's kind of like, "What the hell?" We see that that's when he like starts backing the people off, saying, "No, no, don't attack her." She tries to continue to have them both like separate the two of them, but Red is just like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Because they're just going back to killing people. It's a really, really crazy ass scene.
It really
Um,
is. And then like seeing people dying, and other people attacking Red, Spear is just like, fine. You know what, Fang? I'm gonna attack the red one, and Fang still tries to like stop both of them while they're both trying to attack each other, kind of thing.
yeah, and she accidentally gets knocked out. At this point, we see that Red and Spear really start going after each other, as they eventually knock into the witch hut and blow it up in a huge giant fire explosion.
Yeah, big old purple explosion.
Yeah.
Normal fire stuff.
Yeah, of
And
course,
then,
Fang
yep,
wakes up eventually, but they continue to fight. She's like continues to try separating, but it's not working. Red destroys the new spear, and he's about to kill Spear. Or Red is about to kill Spear after he breaks his weapon, but she does a crazy fucking jump and kicks him to try to stop him, and she accidentally pushes him into a large, sharp wood chunks.
yeah, and it's funny. It's great. It's a well done scene because like you see her push, and you just hear bru bru bru, and he falls off. All of a sudden, the moment you hear like the squelching of when he actually gets pierced completely by the spear, by the palisade,
Mm-hmm.
you actually see in her face. She's like, oh fuck. Then she like looks over and you see he's impaled, and it's
Yeah.
actually kind of a sad scene because she goes over and tries to like be like, hey, come on, it's okay, right? Stay with me. And like he opens up his eye a little bit and just like slowly just dies. And you notice too, she puts her head down and she just slowly starts walking out of the village. And Spear, obviously knowing Fang for such a long time, feels bad because he didn't realize until too late that that was someone she cared about. And so as he's walking out like a little bit behind Fang, you see the village chief guy,
Yeah,
and
the
just
leader guy.
yeah, puts his hand on. And again, I translated it because he says something, but then Spear just leaves. But what he actually tells Spear to do is he pretty much says like, hey, you should stay with us. But
Yeah,
Spear,
you stay
but
here.
yeah, but Spear just leaves, with
Mm-hmm.
Fang. And the village leader just looks on, kind of saddened, but just watches
Yeah.
as they leave, and that's how it ends.
Well, no, there is one little foretelling shot. The final shot of the episode is a pair of birds with some eggs in a nest.
Ah,
And we see that the
yes.
birds are happy together, and that is where the episode ends. I wonder if
Yep.
that's foreshadowing.
Well, I mean, the episode was called Shadow of Fate, so
Yeah, that's very funny. Yeah, the Celts and the Gaelic and everything like that is just like the first straight up humans we see, and it is like so damn surprising. I
yeah,
was
the
like, what the
first
fuck is
yeah,
going on?
the first society that we see, because the first time we actually get a Homo sapien and a language, aka Arabic, mind you,
Yeah, yeah.
was Mira.
Yeah,
But
Mira was the
now,
first person we've seen that was like not a Cro-Magnon human, and it's just that was a shock. And then now we see like there's a shit ton more societies we haven't even encountered yet.
right, yeah, and of course it had to take an entire vast ocean, so he's probably on a different continent.
Yeah,
But yeah, just
it's
the culture shock pretty much from like yelling, screaming, grunts and stuff to actually seeing an ancient human civilization human as we know today, pretty much.
yeah. I was gonna say like at this point, what were you thinking was up with wherever the fuck Spear was before, as opposed to where they are now, and like what the hell is this like weird ass world that they're in?
Honestly, certain places certain places had every place did not evolve at the same rate as every other place.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean, obviously, one, for lack of better terms, because they did go through an entire ocean. One continent was where Cro-Magnon was the superior, but across the sea somewhere, I'm gonna just guess Europe because of the Celts. Um,
yeah.
then again, I can't really say that because of the weird wibbly wobbly freaky deaky shit that's gonna be happening. Um, probably Europe somewhere or something similar. Um, we actually see that they evolved quicker than the other places. They actually have societies. They actually have villages. They actually have people. It's like, this is interesting, and they're all Homo sapien too.
Yeah, but
Just
also like there's goddamn dinosaurs and dromaeosaurs and argentinosaurs and shit wherever the fuck Spear was. And also it's just like very bizarre because T-Rexes are in America and argentinosaurs obviously are South American. But and then there's like the dromaeosaurs, which are also, they could, if they were like Utah raptors, that would still be in America, which presumably is like, is that where Spear is? But then also still the fact that there are dinosaurs and prehistoric beasts like Ardenceotherium, and like it's just like it's just a completely anachronistic, crazy world of like things that were literally tens if not like 60s of millions of years apart, just like existing in the same time. It's just like
well, yeah.
completely
See,
incomprehensible.
and that's the thing that I take with this show. I
Hmm.
don't expect it to be like super fucking accurate to how the world actually was, even though we'll get to that episode when we get to that episode. It is
Hmm.
clear that the world actually becomes the world. But 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 it's good to see, like, we have a general idea because, like you said, T-Rexes were in North America,
Yeah.
which means that, it pretty much seems like, at least, that we went from North America to Europe.
Yeah, but like we said, there were still the mammoths, which were also in American, but they're different breeds in different areas. But a lot of the prehistoric things that they found, the wild boars, but then also, like I said, those dromaeosaurs and the fuck. Well, of course, and then there's straight up just fantasy shit like the witches and the fucking bats and the spider and shit, which are also just like all insane like fantasy stuff. Which is why I just love that this is like a weird amalgamation, like D&D setting. Like I said last time, it's just
Yeah.
like a fun ass thing with a tons of really crazy ass shit, and it's just really cool to see actual like societies mixed in with that crazy shit. It's just so
Yeah,
fucking
and
fascinating.
see, and that's what Gendy does best. Like, yeah, sure, this
Mm-hmm.
is supposed to be a prehistoric time kind of thing. So there are some actual things, like, the research he did to put in for, like, the for all of the dinosaurs that actually did exist. But
Yeah, I
then
was gonna say mhm.
but
Yeah, go
then
ahead.
you have him, like, putting in that fantasy fictional kind of thing that he does best, the bat shittery, as we call it. Um,
Yeah,
with, like, the magic, the fucking, like, cultist tribe of giant ape men that go literally berserk.
yeah,
Um,
turn into Hulks.
yeah, that turn into Hulks, and just things that you see that, it's just he combines the two so beautifully somehow.
Hmm. It's just an amazingly fun setting that's just incredibly fascinating to see, and I love it to death. Because yeah, that T Rex that was on the Celts thing is just like, yeah, that's another T Rex or another breed of T Rex that's just straight up in Europe that is just hanging out near the Celts, which is just also equally. But I was gonna say, have you ever read the Conan the Barbarian series?
No, the only thing about Conan the Barbarian that I know. There's only two things I know about it. One,
Mm-hmm.
that movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger played Conan.
The first one, you mean?
That
You
the
think there was
very
two
the
of them?
yeah the very old one where James Earl Jones was like the snake cult
Yeah,
leader.
I was saying there are two Arnold Conan movies, and then the new one, the remake that was like 10, 15 years ago. But yeah, there were two of
Um,
them: the
but the
Conan the Barbarian and then Conan the Destroyer.
but then the second thing I know about Conan the Barbarian is that one game, Conan Exiles, where you can shape the
Oh
size of
yeah,
your dick.
the MMO, yeah, with the dick size meter or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it like takes place in the Hyborian Age, which is like a weird stretch in between modern and prehistoric society, but it is like theoretically millions of years ago, and it's still like a weird like time when magic and shit was around, but there's still like a lot of prehistoric monsters and ape men of many different types in that series. Like I recently just like read a huge collection of every single Conan story. I got about halfway through before I couldn't take it anymore, but it's very very similar to this setting where there are like dinosaurs and like 100 different ape men and like all kinds of magic and sorcerers, but also like real societies and stuff like that. And this really really reminds me of that when I think about it. It's just really cool.
Oh, did you just break the system? Is Primal not only canon to Dexter's Laboratory, but also Conan the Barbarian?
Probably, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
That means wait, that means by proxy, that Dexter's Lab is canon to Conan the Barbarian.
I would not be surprised with shit like Action Hank and Dexter. Anything's possible.
Hey, no, you know what? The closest to Conan we got to, you're right. The closest we got to Conan the Barbarian in Dexter's Lab was the Justice Friends.
I was gonna say not Rastlor, the dude who the Justice.
Oh yeah, from Dial M for Monkey.
Yeah.
Rastlor played by Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah. What was the hunter, the like
oh yeah, the weird predator guy? Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I think his name was actually just Huntor or something like that.
Yeah, it was like Hunter,
something silly
like that. Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, who knows? Because Dexter's Lab is also, but yeah, that just ties into how insane magic shit that exists in Dexter's timeline too. It's the Powerpuff Girls and giant kaijus are also technically in that universe. So
well, I mean, okay, if you want to go that technical, literally any of the Cartoon Network shows, like the Cartoon Network exclusive shows, are in the same continuity as each other. Because I mean, Dexter walks down the street and you see Fred Flintstone and George Jetson. And we could go on that we could go down that rabbit hole at different times.
We're already gonna stretch this episode long as shit. Well, that was a fun little interstitial about the weird cults we just ran into and what the actual timeline of the series is, but we have a lot more crazy shit to get to as we start episode 3.
Dawn of Man.
We begin on we actually hear rain pouring over the credit sequence before we actually see anything happen. And it opens on a rainforest, or at least a rainy forest. And Spear are back together, but they both seem incredibly dejected.
Oh, absolutely. Spear? to the point where Spear is does what he does to communicate to Fang, and then it gets no response, and then sadly starts walking away. But then
we have one of those tears in the rain shots of the rain's kind of going over her eyes, but it looks like tears, and he kind of just wipes it away, and they're both kind of just really sad. She's non-reactive to him, and he just kind of tries to rise her up, but she just completely is not reacting to him.
Yep, and then he starts walking away, just leaving, separating himself, giving her space and everything. But then she actually comes and joins him, hey, I'm still with you. And he just puts his hand on her nose, and then they just walk away.
Yep, they continue to walk off into the woods.
Both of them very sad.
Yep, they eventually spot a cave, and they decide to head in, but they both smell something very weird inside the cave. They settle in anyway, and they start a fire for the night. They look forward into the cave, and we see Spear kind of just making a torch to kind of start exploring deeper inside the cave. They find tons and tons of cave paintings explaining a bunch of different events. We see many prehistoric creatures and even large numbers of handprints and stuff on the wall, which is actually a real actual cave thing that people have discovered. That's a huge amount of handprints inside of a cave wall.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Tons of pictures. Yeah. He goes back to the fire after a while and rests for the night.
And then the next day, we see Spear wakes up, tries to say, "Hey, let's go," and Fang is once again unreceptive, not receptive at all. And of course, we just see Spear's just and this walks away. And as he walks out, it's nice and sunny. And he starts walking.
It seems that spring has sprung as moss covers all the plants and trees, and it's very bright and we see blooms and all kinds of things rising from the weather.
Right, and then as he's walking out, and it's just him, mind you, he walks out and he sees a big old open plain where you see an open plain, and he's remembering from his cave paintings that he saw. And, you see some weird elk caribou kind of creatures, and Megalocera. Yep, Megalocera.
Megalocera are the giant deers with the huge horns. That type. I know them from Far Cry Primal and all kinds of other games and stuff that they're in. But yeah, I love those big giant deer with the huge horns.
Nice. We see some of those, and it flashes to the cave painting. We see a group of people actually throwing spears and hunting them, while one looks at Spear and just puts a hand up, showing, the cave paintings of them throwing spears and the cave painting of the hand. And it's
Yep,
like
he's kind of
all,
remembering what their society was like and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
he's like, it's like he's kind of seeing into this in a certain way, because I say it that way because as we go along, we see like these weird prehistoric buffalo looking things with like a
Yeah.
small with like a small village. And we see some people working like some wood carving, some
Yeah, we after the
gatherers.
bites, it's like a we see like in modern what he's actually seeing is like some ruins, and then he kind of has like a flashback vision of their society and their daily life before then.
Yeah, but
And he
then
kind of like wanders through it and like seeing like the regular stuff. But then he also finds a small mammoth toy, and he kind of thinks about like, oh, there are kids here playing and shit. But then kind of just like tosses it aside, and eventually finds himself another new spear.
yep, finds himself another new spear, and then he just goes back to the cave.
Oh,
And
he kills a deer and brings it back to
oh,
the cave for
yeah,
food.
you're right. Yeah, and you're right, because he kills the deer, goes back to the cave. When he sets it down, Fang actually wakes up to eat.
Yeah, she finally just now she's even not moved all day because obviously she's incredibly depressed. But you see that she finally does wake from like being completely immobile all day. The next night, we see that he looks out and he sees the full moon, and he does
Well,
mirror the
no,
actual.
no, it's
Or
a
is it not
crescent
full?
moon. It's a
Oh,
crescent
okay,
moon.
yeah, you're right, you're right, yeah.
And then of course, like as you were saying,
Yeah, we see him look at the moon, and he then repeats Mira's prayer, and he kind of looks around a little bit embarrassed about doing it, and he sees a very creepy close up of an owl, kind of like judging him. He's kind of just like, "What the fuck?"
the only
He
way,
stares it off because he's pissed.
the only thing I could think of was, even though they're starting to evolve, I'm like, oh, that's cute. You're doing an Arabic prayer to the moon, okay? And then you see an owl. I'm like, Athena, is that you? And what did he say to Athena? Fuck you. I'm not weird. You're weird.
Yeah, kind of like flies off, and he goes back into the cave. Later, a noise awakes them as both Spear and Fang hear a strange noise coming from the entrance of the cave, and we see a large bear being rode by a Viking.
Yep, we actually get Norsemen in
Yeah.
this. We actually get like the Norse, and we. By the way, it's a prehistoric giant bear. What's it called, Matt?
Oh, I just wrote giant bear. I didn't even bother looking up what the actual breed is called.
Okay. So the dino expert, the prehistoric expert, and all he could say is, "Oh, look, giant bear."
Honestly, they are literally called like cave bear, and that's like the actual phrase for the giant, like twice the size of normal bears in prehistoric research is called just like cave bear is what it's specifically called. It's so weird.
Yeah, but either way, like they start, Fang and this bear start having a roaring contest, and the
Yeah,
entire cave starts like crumbling a little bit.
yeah, they're actually kind of like shattering the thing with their face off against each other. But
And
it kind of starts crashing, and so they run to the exit to try to escape.
yep, the bear and the guy just obviously leave first, but then Fang and Spear go out, and guess what? It was a tarp. I mean, a trap, because because as they walk out, there's two more bears with two more guys.
Yep, and then finally the pair attacks. It's a very, very cool ass scene. Spear kills one of the riders, and Fang just completely Fang gets like slashed by one of the bears, but then easily just fucking like destroys it a second later.
And then after like one guy dies and one bear dies, the third guy's just like, this ain't happening, and starts yelling, and
before
they
that,
start,
yeah, Spear does see that their shields have a scorpion on it, and he
yep.
says, "Mira."
Yeah, and then the guy just stops and is like, "Wait, what?" Mira runs the fuck away, like, "Nope, I'm out."
He
And
begins to flee as the Viking realizes, "Oh, fuck this."
and the first thing I said as that Viking was running away was, "Well, to Helheim with you, bitch, fucking
Yeah,
coward." Fucking coward.
Sure.
But then he starts running, and it gets to like an open field, and you see, before we actually get to see the guy like running to the field, we actually see that Spear's spear is what got cut in half because, well, they're Vikings. They have iron sword weapons. So
Yeah.
Spear actually picks up one of the swords that one of the guys had, starts swinging it around, picks up the shield and looks at it. And it's like, uh-oh. Did he just find a new weapon?
Yep. It's very fucked up. We see that, yeah, he completely is about to kill this dude. Fang smells where the actual like it starts like traveling and like actually after sensing the smell of the village.
Oh wait, now hold on.
Yeah.
You're jumping the gun.
Oh yeah. I'm going way ahead.
Yeah, because now the guy runs towards the field and they chase him.
Yeah. He tries to question him, but the guy just refuses, and then he like pulls out his weapons again to try to fight them. But then, of course, real Indiana Jones style, fucking Fang just chomps him real quick and kills him.
Right. Then after that, they start looking for the village. Thanks to
Yep, they track the smell.
Yep. Thanks to Fang, they sniff it out literally, and then we see a very quiet Viking village.
Yep. Spear tries to make Fang stay outside and back just so he can go and look around and spy a little bit. We see that he kind of starts going through the village as she's on the outskirts. He finds all kinds of shacks and buildings and housing and all kind of stuff with the people passed out in there. Eventually, he does find a small shack that is filled with head-shaved slaves, or thralls, as the Vikings called them.
Yep.
They freak out as they see him, but he's just trying to calm them down as they're screaming and yelling. And he sees that Mira is among them.
And of course, I love this scene. It's hilarious because it's like, Mira! And of course, they Mira hugs him and goes, Mira? And she goes, Mira? And he's just in a daze, in that love-struck daze, Mira. And there's dead silence for 2 or 3 seconds. And then it's just okay, awkward pause, I guess, over, because but yeah, then he starts trying to drag her out, take her wrist and take her out, and she's no, no. In her native tongue, she pretty much, I guess, I don't know Arabic very well, but I'm guessing she's nope, I'm not leaving without these guys.
Yep, she says that he has to free the rest of the thralls.
Yep, and so he looks out, and they're all leaving quietly, as they can.
And then he hears Fang's roars as the episode ends.
Yep, and what's going to happen next? Don't worry, we'll get there, but Matt has to ask me a few questions.
Yeah. All right, so firstly I wanted to say, kind of a mixed question, I guess. What is your favorite, prehistoric mammal that you just know of about vaguely even?
Prehistoric mammal, you said?
Yeah.
Honestly, I know it's a little bit cliche, but I don't know what the actual term is, but we used to call it saber-toothed tigers.
Yeah, Smilodon?
Thank you, Smilodons. Yes. Those ones, I mean, how can you not prehistoric big cats?
Hell yeah, they're cool as hell. And whenever you see their actual size compared to modern day lions and stuff, it's always very fucking fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
Just, how their actual mouths even worked with those big ass teeth is always just a real funny thing to think about. Were they actually used to attack, or were they just for show, or what the fuck? They're so impractical and weird. But
I mean, it's probably the same way with tusks,
Yeah, tusks are kind of just used for fighting each other more than actual getting food or whatever the fuck they're for.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love mine. I would say a monster. It was an animal that was cut from last season. A quick shot. It's called a Calicotherium. It's the weird, that weird horse gorilla looking thing. It literally looks like a horse's head on a weird giant gorilla body. It's so fucking bizarre.
Wait, that's an actual thing?
Yeah, Calicotherium. Yeah. It's
God,
a horse gorilla.
God! I thought that was a Gendy Tartakovsky thing.
Yeah, no, it's a real actual animal, and it's really fucking cool. I just like the design of them whenever I see them and stuff, and also as mounts. But I was going to lead to my second question. What's your favorite mount that you had in a game?
Oh, my favorite mount in any game, huh? Well, that's...
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's not a fair question. You want to know why it's not a fair question?
Why?
Because in Final Fantasy XIV, I had a 2-person mount, and it was a giant fucking robot.
Which one? The regular Final Fantasy VI?
No. It was one that you had to spend actual money on the shop, real money, and you remember the Alexander raids? The first boss that was the robot that turned into a that turned into a ship. It was that one. I bought that, and I could fit me and one other person on it, and we could just fly around and shit. I'm yeah. That was my favorite mount because when you put it on, it plays a cool song. And I also like it because I'm not biased, you're biased. I'm a machinist in that game. So of course I
Of
had to have a
course.
giant robot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in WoW, like me, my sister Calvina, and our friend Steven actually did some mount grinding a bit back in the day,
Oh
like
shit.
actual grinding, like doing raids or doing rep shit for like weeks on end to try to get very specific mounts. And I got an incredibly rare drop, the Raven Lord, which is like this big purplish raven that was incredibly fucking rare. That I got like
Dude.
on one of our random runs. And like before, there's a new model that flies and you can just pay for it, but it's like a bigger, different looking one. But I have like the actual OG one from Burning Crusade, the incredibly rare fucking drop, and I got it, and I was so fucking happy. And I ride it all the time.
Wait,
We also,
fucking
yeah,
seriously? Because okay,
yeah, the
look.
original Raven
I
Lord.
know, I know very little about like about World of Warcraft. Like I know the
Mm-hmm.
Warcraft story to an extent, but one thing I do remember is the fucking Raven Lord mount and how back in the day that was like one of the hardest things to get. But you fucking actually got it.
Yeah, I actually got it, and I was so fucking proud. And I wrote, I still like write it to the whenever. Well, not to this day. I haven't played WoW in like fucking like 6-7 years. But when I did play it last, I that was like my go to, and also the like big ugly manta ray ones, like the big like fungus looking manta rays that were like from rep grinding some drawn eye race or something like that. We did that when we got those. It was very very cool. But also, I was gonna say, how dare you? Didn't you play Monster Hunter Stories? You didn't fucking get those cool ass either Paolumu or Lagia Chris or any of those fucking cool
Oh
ass monsters
shit! No, no,
because
no, 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 no. Hold
you've
on a
murdered
second. Hold on a
hundreds
second.
of.
Hold on. You said mount, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mount, aka you have to write it for an amount of time, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
You're right. You're right. I apologize. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I mounted a Thunderlord Zinogre. Boom. Best mount. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you probably get an actual Thunderlord from stories as like an actual like,
From stories.
companion.
I think the Deviants were actually in stories too, which I have not played, mind you.
Really, you should play it. It's fun as hell.
I know, I've been so behind on different things, but yeah, I actually only played stories for a little bit of time, so I didn't feel it was fair to put stories in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, trust me, I do plan on playing stories too. After I'm done like catching myself up on making my second and third character on Monster Hunter Rise.
Jesus Christ!
Look, I
Yeah,
have three different people I play with.
I was gonna say, like, if I can continuing on this Monster Hunter tangent, I was just watching a YouTuber I follow, a fighting game YouTuber named Maximilian, dude, and he was just recently went back to World, and I'm just like, goddamn, World was fucking great. It's slower than Rise, but it's just something about it that it looks so goddamn beautiful.
No,
and it's
dude.
just so big, and so I'm like, I gotta fucking go back and play World.
First
again.
off, first off, I know exactly who you're talking about because he did a. It wasn't recently; it was a few months back. But he did a lore run of Bloodborne. Maximilian dude
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
But
yeah.
secondly, if my friend wasn't in like a current situation, I would be catching my friend up in Monster Hunter World Iceborne because I once again with my oldest brother played it on the PC and beat Iceborne. So we're in post game.
Oh yeah.
So we're in the guiding lands. But my one friend wants to like shotgun. They're in Iceborne already. They want to shotgun
Yeah.
through the story so that they can become Leon S. Kennedy.
Oh yeah, I have all those goddamn outfits.
Yeah, right. But no, dude.
Making a Mr. X the hunter assistant, all that type
Um,
shit.
but yeah, but ultimately though, I cannot wait for Wilds.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm assuming just from the footage and everything, it looks very similar to Rise, which I'm fine with. But also, I saw like it's like a new. You have like more mounts, and so hopefully we'll actually have some like actual stories like monster companions, which would be very.
Well,
Fucking
see, here's
cool.
the thing. Here's the thing. It looks like a combination between Rise and World because it is the net. It is because technically speaking, Rise is not a mainline Monster Hunter game. World is. So
Yeah.
and Wilds is supposed to be the one after World. It kind of has World vibes, but it also with like mounting, like having a mount and everything. It kind of looks
Yeah.
like it's kind of trying to combine the two, you know.
Yeah, I'm incredibly hyped for fucking Wild. I cannot wait. It can't come soon enough.
And
But yeah,
speaking of Wild, we should probably get to episode 4 of this.
Oh God, episode 4,
The
the
Red
Red
Mist.
Mist.
That
Now,
one's way
spoiler
off.
alert.
Uh huh.
Well, no, I was sounded really on from on my end, but spoiler alert. This is probably my favorite episode of the season.
Oh, that's right. You've actually seen all of season 2, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I love.
Yeah,
this one
yeah,
too
yeah.
fucking
Because for
death.
some reason you can't not watch a show brand new with me, asshole.
Well, hey, we're soon someday.
Anyway, we start off with, remember that roar that Matt said was Fang? Well, guess what?
Yeah.
He was wrong. It was a bear.
Yep, we hear some bear and dino roars continuing over the credits as it begins, and we see a dozen bear riders approaching. We see that they're approaching Fang, or approaching at least the village. At least,
Yeah, the village.
thralls are all free, but they, as soon as they are approached by the bear riders, they fall to their knees. Actually, yeah, we don't see Fang at all. I forgot that. It's just we see that hear the roar, and it's obviously that the bear riders are approaching the city. And they see the thralls, and the thralls all fall to their knees immediately, but not Spear. He refuses to give up.
And Mira is like hesitant, but does anyway.
Yeah, she's trying to kind of yanking on his arm to try to get him, and he's like, absolutely not. They see his weapon, and they prepare to kill him, but, of course, Spear will not give up. As they approach, the bears start freaking out and smelling the air, as Spear gives a little fucking hero protag smirk to the camera.
He really does, yeah.
Fang charges out of the goddamn woods and just fucking starts destroying people.
No. Fang appears, jumps on a house, and we get a triumphant heroic yell from Spear as we get a triumphant yell, roar from Fang, and then Fang falls through the house and just falls into a house literally. As one of the riders is getting ready to fucking kill Spear, Fang runs out and actually bites the dude.
It's a very funny comedic scene to a very fucking cool action scene.
It really
and
is.
This is when they start to actually rip up the people. They, like I said, they literally rip and tear through the fucking Vikings.
Dude, okay. So there's a meme that some of you listeners have probably heard of. I'm not sure if Matt has heard this one, but it's known as when the Doom music hits.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This right here is getting close to when the Doom music hits. But we'll get.
Yeah, did you play the first Doom? The first Doom. The first, like, the new series of Dooms.
Oh, you mean Doom 2006?
Yeah.
Dude, fuck yeah, that game's amazing.
Shut up, Ben.
No,
like when
I'm talking about like Doom and then Doom Eternal. You're talking about Doom.
Yeah, that's a 2006.
I think it's actually called Doom 2006. Actually, I thought it was at least. No, not 2006.
No.
I think it's 2016. Actually, got my years mixed up.
2016. I was about to say.
Anyway, case in point, dude, that game is fucking great.
You walk out onto the Mars and it's just fucking like hell yeah, and they just start fucking whooping ass. It's so fucking good.
So everyone, Fang and Spear are like fucking destroying everything. Mira gets the other thralls to start running, and as the thralls are running, the commotion outside is waking up all the villagers, and this is where you get to see why Viking communities back in the day were really fucking awesome, because like as there's a commotion going on, one of a bunch of the other villagers are starting to run. You see, as a viewer, that they are running away because they look like they're surprised. One guy crawls up, takes a giant hammer and smacks the iron slab to give a warning, like, hey, we're under attack. And then we see some kind of very important woman. Yes, woman. Tell her kid to go inside, and she just, you could tell she has been around the fucking battlefield because she is a goddamn Valkyrie of a woman. But as everyone's getting slaughtered by Spear and Fang, all of the villagers in the Viking town were gathering weapons and fucking fighting.
Yeah, they are actually Mira's actually does help a little bit in this fight sequence as they continue to just destroy the village, and it's a very fucking cool ass scene.
Yeah.
Mira is cornered by a bear, but she does continue to lead the thralls away as they just continue to kill and kill and kill. The village, the woman, I'd be looking up, of course. Her name is Rika, and she is. I just wrote her as a leader of this group
Yep,
right now.
Rika.
Yep,
The leader Rika, and she's like, dude, oh my god, you could tell she's not even like yelling yet. She's just walking to the fucking battlefield right now.
Yeah, Mira escapes a bear by like piercing its chest, and the thralls escape. But the villagers do finally like actually start getting the upper hand on Spear and Fang as they trip Fang, and she actually does get some injuries. And Spear is surrounded by the villagers as he sees that they are just normal people, not actual raiders, including like even fucking babies and shit.
Yeah, and he actually notices also like because he gets hit by an arrow, he looks at the archer and it's the kid, it's Rika's child.
Yeah.
Like shooting a bow. Like, dude, that's how badass Vikings were. Even the kids who could pick up a weapon, even they would fight.
Yep, then we see that the kid continues to hit Spear with the weapons, but he is just like, okay, what the fuck is going on? He like continues to knock dudes around, and he eventually knocks a dude into the thing that the kid is standing on, and like he falls and gets knocked away. Rika confronts Fang with a super long axe, which is very fucking cool. It's a very cool sequence of her actually going against Fang herself, but she is eventually bitten in half and slammed repeatedly.
Matt, dude.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be talking about this scene, you know you have to say what exactly started this scene. Because she does not just walk up and they had a fight and then she died. No, she walks up with this probably great axe of an axe.
Yeah, I feel like, oh, yeah.
And the first thing she does is she spins around and fucking throws it. She throws it, hits Fang immediately on the leg. And then they fight, and then they yell, and then they fight, and then she like literally gets killed. It's like it's a really, really quick scene though.
Yeah, but it's a very, very cool scene because she actually did like fucking go up against a T-Rex, which is insane. So she's really badass.
Yeah, she was, and yep.
T-Rex.
But yeah, and then you realize, yeah, it's a T-Rex, and then she like kind of comedically, but it's just like, oh my god, it was like she got ragdolled. Like if you want to say like she got ragdolled and as close to real life as possible, this is as close to real life air quotes ragdoll as you get.
Yeah, the kid tries to like grab Spear, but he knocks the kid away, accidentally killing him by hitting his head on a rock.
Oh, and we're talking like Spear did his full on throwing the kid like with full force, and the kid just happened to land right on a rock.
Yep, having seen what he done, Spear kind of just like, gets Fang's attention and mounts up and is going to leave the village, but realizes that they are still kind of surrounded and in the middle of this thing.
And as that happens...
we see a literal red mist seep into the town.
And then immediately, like, we get to see, like, Fang and Spear, like, sinking into the mist, and they're trying to run away. But then they get caught behind a cliff, like they see a cliff, and as they're running, they're getting pelted. Like we're talking like in video games or in movies when you see like a literal rain of arrows. That's what we're talking about. They're getting pelted, and it gets to the point where like Spear and Fang. This is when the Doom music kicks in because they go into a literal blind rage where. I mean, obviously, I love it when they do this in shows. It gets so violent that all you get to see is this next part of Spear and Fang slaughtering the entire village in silhouette. Not a single detail. They're in black. There's red mist. It is all silhouette. You literally hear all of this massacre, all of this killing, all of this happening. And as this is all coming to a close, you see a lone longboat with a younger man, a big old Viking, like you could tell he's like a warlord, marauder, and 4 chained prisoners floating towards home.
Yeah, I really they approach the fjord, which it looks like they are in, and they're like, it's just we see they sound the horn and they don't get any response from the village. they dock the ship and they see that there is blood all the way down to the damn docks, and they're like, "What the hell is going on?" We then see kind of a vision of what happened as the viewer sees Mira, Spear, and Fang all leaving on one of the boats as this chieftain and his son explore the destroyed village. When they see the huge amount of bodies piled up everywhere, the son actually vomits at the sight of like how much death has occurred in there since they've been gone. It's very fucking intense.
And the village leader pulls a spear because the only word we hear him calling out is, well, to the person he loves, aka this is when we find out her name is Rika.
Yeah, Rika.
Yeah, and he starts running around and actually gets to see her not as mangled as you would like to think body.
Well, he sees her axe first, and then he eventually finds her.
Yeah, and then as he's mourning her death, you see the son. The older son walking, tears in his eyes, holding the child who got killed by the rock.
Yep. We see them take the bodies and take them to some kind of cairn of all the dead that they've had. And they kind of like put the bodies in there and seal it with a large rock.
Yep.
Or no, we see them put a bunch of the bodies in there. And then we see Rika and the child are brought to the boat where the slaves were. They release the thralls as they put Rika and the boy in there and give them an old-fashioned Viking funeral.
Yep, and the father, like tries to do it, like tries to loose the arrow with the flame, and he can't. And so the son's like pretty much like has the endearing like, it's okay, Dad, I can do this, and he does it for him. And then as they see the boat aflame, like for the Viking funeral, because off to Valhalla they go because they lived as they died in glorious combat. The father gets like a pissed off look, turns around, fully arms his son, and then fully arms himself, and then they both start to leave because it's hunting time.
Yep, and we see that they do see a symbol on their sail as they go. The giant scorpion.
Yep.
Oof. What an insane turn of events.
I know, right?
This was my favorite episode. Well, I was going to say, firstly, this is the return of the Red Mist, which we've seen 2 times before this.
Yep.
The first was when Spears' family and Fang's family were both killed by the Red T-Rexes. And the second time is my favorite episode of season 1, Terror Under the Blood Moon, when the Dromaeosaurs approach that village and we see the fucking evil bats fucking up everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like a symbol of like, this is going to be a fucking episode Matthew's going to love.
Right, but yeah, this is like, oh
so
my god, holy shit, this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It was so fantastic. Also, seeing all the crazy Viking shit was very fucking cool.
Damn right it was.
Society that we get to actually see them fuck up and destroy. Ben, I don't know how familiar are you with like media with Vikings and stuff in it recently. Anyway,
recently? Well,
oh yeah, because I was gonna say like the examples I was gonna give, the show Vikings, which follows like Ragnar and his invasion. Or not right? Is it Ragnarsson? The one who invaded England first.
I think I can't remember. You asked me too quickly. I can't remember. Fuck. But yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, the show Vikings is about that like crazy invasion, and of course, then there's the movie that came out with Alexander Skarsgård, the Northman, which I will say was like the opening sequence when he like loses his family and just becomes a fucking raider, and is just like you actually see a Viking raid of them attacking this little settlement. It is so fucking intense. It is so violent and really really fucking cool. The rest of the movie is like a weird like fucking stealth revenge mystery thing, but like the opening sequence where they're just like ripping up shit is fucking brutal as shit, and it is so cool because you actually see like female warriors on big ass like horses, and you just see all kinds of fucking people just slaughtering these villages, and he's just shirtless and screaming, and berserkers are going crazy, and it's just really fucking awesome. The other thing would be Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is probably tied with Odyssey for like my favorite Assassin's Creeds, because you are a Viking and like the protag in that is so fucking badass. The male or female protags are both fucking amazing. And it is also about that same invasion that Ragnar's sons continue after he's killed. But it's such a fun ass looking setting. I'm not like history wise or even like mythology wise, I'm not like super up on like Viking stuff or like the Norse mythology and stuff like that. But it's an interesting setting, and I'm assuming you're a much bigger fan than I am. But like, what are some things you
Gee, I wonder what gave me away. Anyway, sorry.
like?
Media about Vikings. Well, first off, the obvious one. The turn that I am actually all for, even though it's loosely based off of mythology. I adore and I mind you, I have only played the first one. I have not played the second one nor the add-on to it. I adore God of War 2018 as well as Ragnarok and Valhalla.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's God of War mythology, so it's like, not actually mythology, but that I just every time I heard someone or I saw someone or like I got to hear like any name drop, I'm like, I know that. I know that because I fucking love Norse mythology. But another bit of media, I mean this is, whatever, take it as you will, but it's media. It's media. It's not visual media, but it's media. I freaking love one of my favorite metal bands is Amon Amarth. They sing about Norse stuff. Anything about like Valhalla, any of the Norse gods or anything, I am a sucker for. But my all-time favorite video game of all time, a little indie game, by this group called Thunder Lotus, I believe they are. It's called Jotun, where you play as your protagonist, Thora, named after Thor, and as you die in the middle of the sea, instead of going to Helheim because you were supposed to go to a battle but you lost because you died at sea, you get a second chance. And so Odin is like, "Hey, here's your chance. Go and do these things for the glory of combat, and you can go into Valhalla." Wonderful game, a little gem.
Oh, yeah.
Find it on Steam, find it on PS4, find it on, I bet you it's on Xbox. Seriously, shameless plug for a video game I like right there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I played it on Switch and it was very, very fun.
yes it is. But yeah, anything about this, and like I'm not gonna say I'm like a super historian on this, but like just the fact, like just bits and pieces of Viking like actual society, like first off, they're one of the most progressive back in the day because women and men were treated equally back then. Yeah. But not only that, but everyone who could fight, well, fought, and they were all, like you saw in this episode, they were always prepared for things because and like that's one of the things that would throw people off is like they're like, oh, only the villagers, oh, they're little villagers, they can't do anything, they have the army, and, like they have their guards and everything. It's like no, anyone who can wield a weapon knows how to fight.
Yeah, literally everybody. I was gonna say, yeah, Ben. If you're not gonna watch the full long ass series Vikings, which I do also recommend, definitely find The Northman. It was a very, very good watch. It was a fun. It's a very fucking dark and crazy, depressing movie. That's a really cool mystery in it. But
so it's fun. Got it.
Yeah. Fucking literally, it ends with a fucking axe fight in a volcano. It's so fucking good. It's really, really fantastic and bloody as shit.
And see, you gotta go into a movie like that knowing it's going to be ridiculous. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to look at the history behind all. No. You got to go in knowing it's going to be fucking fun. It's going to be fucking bullshit.
I was gonna say, and not to spoil anything, but it's like when Alexander Skarsgård is a kid, he's like the chief for the head raider guy's son. The family is killed by their uncle, which is a classic thing. He disappears and becomes just like a berserker for some raiders, and then after that he finds out where his uncle is and the territory they took, and then he becomes he goes undercover as a thrall, but is at night pulling a fucking spear and just killing people left and right at night trying to fucking get to his uncle. It's really cool. It's a very, very fun movie.
I might have to look into that one. Yeah,
The Northman. It's very, very good. But enough about Viking things because apparently they're all dead according to Spear killing this whole.
No. There's two alive.
Oh yeah, there's at least two. I wonder if we'll get back to that story by the end of this episode. Now we're covering episode 5,
the Primal Theory. Which by the way, for those of you who are listening in, this is what we like to call the very first Primal filler episode.
Well, I was actually gonna say, I would refer to it episode 3, The Dawn of Man, felt like a filler episode until the last like 10 seconds.
No. You had episodes 1 and you had episode 2, which is like, oh look, of these civilizations. Episode 3 explained it. It wasn't filler. It was part of the story because, you got to see Spear realizing what man can do now. This, however, well, here's the thing about the Primal theory. It starts off in a very dark, stormy, rainy day in England. Yes, actual fucking England, which is
1890.
Which is, by the way, back earlier in this episode when I said, this kind of world, which apparently becomes the actual world, points at this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you said, 1890.
Yep, specifically 1890. We
Yep.
see a horse and buggy on cobblestone streets approaching a manor.
And of course, a butler opens up, and it's like the one guy who gets out of the buggy is like, "Oh, have they started? Yes, sir. They're in the study." And you get to see our protagonist of the episode, Charles Darwin. Yes, Charles Darwin.
Charles. I was he's just Charles. You never referred to as Charles Darwin specifically.
Oh, dude. Every single like synopsis of this, and every single like even the theory he's bringing up, it's Charles Darwin. It's Darwin. It's fucking Darwin.
Yeah, of course. And the other one he's speaking to is, of course, he's giving his speech about his theory of primal instincts returning to man. But the other gentleman at this like little, symposium or
it's actually a historical society. They actually do mention that, yeah.
Yeah, and then we see that one of the men among them, Lord Darlington, who is, of course, referring to Lord Cyril Darlington, which is one of Charles Darwin's greatest rivals and competitors during this time of, intellectual development. But he is also based off a real person. He's like, none of them take him seriously, and they're saying, that's all foolish. You see how, advanced we are? We're nothing like, the Neanderthals and the cavemen of the past. We're advanced and, we're smart. And then we see a good old-fashioned police chief constable.
Say it.
All right, what's all this then?
Yep, we get our first actual constable. And he's just like, I just want you gents to know that, an inmate down at the asylum has escaped, and he's a frightful fellow.
Sorry.
Yeah, a madman.
You mean they only refer to him as a madman. There's a madman to escape the asylum.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
It's like, oh. And then Darlington's like, well, officer, I have your madman right here.
Points at Charles Darwin.
And then the chief's like, all right then, I don't understand these brainy types.
And then, of course, they're like, whatever. Back to everything here. And as they're starting to talk, because, it is a very stormy night, and the wind is picking up lightning and thunder, and they hear a shatter in the attic. It's like,
I was gonna say Darlington is continues to just say Charles, you're a fool, as they just continue to espouse why he's wrong and how that's not true. And yeah, they hear a noise up the stairs that disturbs them.
And the butler's like, don't worry, I'll take a look because a tree just probably broke one of the windows. Yes, see to it. Anyway, now that we're done with making fun of you, Darwin, someone with actual intelligence, please tell us what's going on.
Yep, they kind of sit around and continue to discuss their ideas, but then some blood begins dripping through the ceiling.
Oh, and it doesn't land on the floor or anything. There's an older man, like the oldest one there. It lands right in his fucking brandy.
Yep, and they're like, what's all this? Oh, never. And they're very, distraught, what the hell's going on? And so the three of the men, the three fit ones, go and try to investigate.
And the two older ones just sit there.
The big guy, the older one and the big guy kind of stay down there I guess we'll wait here. They go into the room and they see that the room is full of blood, and they find the madman eating the butler.
Yep. And he is like, I don't know. Okay, so he kind of gave me Killer Croc vibes from Batman the Animated Series. I'm not kidding. He's got he had, palish gray skin, tattoos all around.
Similar to he looks very physically. He looks very similar to Spear. He's a very big, wide, tan, dark-skinned man, but he has crazy, evil, beady eyes and razor-sharp teeth, and a crazy giant snake tattoo, a skull snake tattoo on his body.
And they're all like, "What's all this then?"
Yeah, they when the one of the men with them, like a Frenchman with like a tiny little mustache, tries to pull a sword, but he's immediately punched out by the madman.
Yep, in a comedic fashion, and then I think they start. This is where it
They
starts
go
getting.
downstairs and they kind
Yeah.
of escape. The oldest man is then attacked and like in the room, and his neck is bitten out by the madman.
Yep.
They move into like then the four of the three remaining ones move into another room,
And
and they hear
barricade
another
the door.
scream.
Yep.
Yeah, they barricade the game. They hear another scream and they say, "Who was that? Oh my god, he's killed the cook." As they continue to run, they like lock themselves in the door or in the room, and then we see the madman is actually in the window outside, and then he like breaks in and they escape out of the room once again.
But then yeah, and then of course they like actually start arming themselves with weapons, and
Yeah,
like
the madman's like spreading blood all over the house as they like continue to like they go to the weapons room to try to like get ready to attack.
Yep, they all they all equip up, and it's like, oh my goodness, there he is again. And they try to shoot him. They shoot him a few times, but it doesn't really
But
do much because they keep
yeah,
missing.
Charles. Yeah, I was gonna say Charles is like being like strangled by him while Darlington like shakily tries to load a gun, but it does not help. And when they fire, they are too slow to hit the madman as he just continues to like ape like fucking dash all over the building. Once again, he escapes, and the three remaining people continue to just pick up and pack up guns. And you're just like, okay, we're gonna get loaded. We're gonna take this dude out. As they kind of just keep packing it up. Once again, they have a shootout with the madman, and they are like completely unable to fucking do anything to him. And like the big guy with the glasses is eventually used as a human shield.
I love it. In my notes, I have this literally as the most deadly game of peekaboo ever, because
exactly.
it's literally like every time Charles and who's the other guy? Last name?
Darlington.
Darlington. Every time Darlington and Charles put up their guns, the madman puts it up, and like the music cues are hilarious too, because it's like strings goes down, guns go up, strings. I'm like, oh my god, it's literally just the most deadliest game of peekaboo. And then instead of saying "I see you," the madman just throws the fat guy.
Yep, as they escape into like crazy like arboreum or something like that. I know they're still in the building because like they eventually are completely out of bullets and they're out of ammo. They can't really do anything. But then Darlington decides to square up as he begins to get ready to box the madman.
And as
Charles,
he's like punching as he's punching the madman, Charles looks down and you see one of the framed portraits or pictures, but it's actually a plaque that is a Darlington champion boxer.
Yep, Oxford boxing champion.
Yep.
And he says, "Give him a right good one."
And then as he's doing really well, Darlington's doing well, but then the madman chokes him out, and as he's choking him out, he's like, "For God's sakes, Charles, help me!" And Charles is like, "Oh yeah, right, you're doing so wonderfully." Gets a sword and shield and fucking completely fucks it up.
Yep. Darlington gets a bow and starts shooting the madman with arrows. They knock him into a fountain in the garden finally as they begin to engage in a fight with him once again. Darlington can't seem to hurt him as much as he's like boxing the guy, and he is eventually again strangled and nearly drowned once again. The madman then takes Charles' shirt and he like starts to like bite into him as he's like completely like, getting fucked up once more. Darlington now uses a giant bone as a club and finally starts like whooping the
literally like you can see like he just like kind of snaps, grabs a big old bone, beats the shit out of the madman. The madman finally dead. Darlington
he's like knocked out, and Darlington like jumps on his back with a huge spear and in his head and like brutally kills him. Like,
just brutally kills him. And as he's like panting because oh my god, he literally did something. My favorite part of this entire episode is just Charles is like looking so surprised. And the final words of this episode is Charles happily raising his arm saying, "And there you have it."
Yeah, and then I wrote in my notes, Darlington does a Dexter's Lab, like, stare into the camera, wah, wah, like, really fucking, I can literally hear, like, the Dexter's music when he, like, looks into the camera at the end gag. It's so fucking silly.
But Okay, so I usually fillers are like kind of meh, you know.
Mm.
This filler was spectacular because it tells a story. It does a very good job because Tartakovsky is very good at doing this. Just look at Dexter's
Mm-hmm.
Lab, mind you. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he takes an entire one episode, just to tell a full story. It starts off with everyone's pish pawing old Charles, because he was talking about how, yes, we're more advanced, yes, we're more evolved, but in the right circumstances, we will revert back to our primitive instincts. And they're like, oh, whatever. And as the entirety of this episode goes on, they go from guns to like swords and shields and bows and arrows
Yep.
to a literal bone. And Darlington was the most composed, and he literally went spear on this guy. and
Yep.
and it's like, just seeing how right Charles Darwin was throughout this
Yeah, it was
entire
very, very
episode.
funny.
It just, yeah, it was silly because, it's just like, and there you have it. I'm like, oh my God, shut up,
Yeah,
Charles. But
it was a
it's like,
very, very funny
but
episode.
it was so well put together, just seeing how the madman has pretty much already been in a primitive state for some time, and
Yeah.
seeing the most sophisticated of gentlemen become so primitive and just literally spearing a guy in the head and beating him senseless with a fucking giant bone, literally losing his
Yeah.
entire composure. I'm like, you know, as silly as Charles Darwin was about this whole thing, he's right, though. He is
Yeah, it was a very,
correct.
very compelling thing. Yeah, I was gonna say the change in setting was very, very weird, and like people have been theorizing because, like, just we mentioned earlier in the first part of the episode, what time does this weird thing take place? People have theorized that Primal may take place like in the distant future, where people have like de-evolved or societies collapsed, and like these weird prehistoric animals and monsters and stuff has come back. That was like a running theory during like the first like part of the series, and during the second one, people were like confused like that. But people have asked Gendy Tartakovsky, and like most show creators would be like, oh, it's up to interpretation or whatever you guys think. But he
Yeah.
would just like give like an emphatic no. It's
And
the
no,
past.
that's silly. No, no, no.
Yeah,
Look,
that's
look.
dumb.
The reason
Um,
why, the reason why I had the Charles Darwin episode is because everything else takes place in the past. I mean, come on.
yeah, yeah. But also, I was gonna say, have you checked out at all Unicorn Warriors Eternal yet?
Surprisingly enough, I have not watched it yet.
Okay.
However, I just recently got a monthly subscription to HBO Max, and I do have that one on my list.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I watched the first couple episodes. I'll be honest, I am not a fan of the show. I don't like it very much, and I couldn't get past like the first 3 episodes or so. Something about just the art style or the tone I'm not too big of a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
But it does take place in a time similar to this, but just like all of Gendy's stuff, it is like anachronistic where there is crazy magic stuff and like supernatural stuff happening, but it is set like for the most part in this like 1800s ish England. And I'm not gonna no spoilers, but there are some nods to Primal in that series, leading people to think that they might actually be like canonically in the same universe, which would be very fucking cool because again these shit's all over the place and it'd be really fun to establish an actual canon.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the show it's once you get the actual plot, like the name sounds weird, the aesthetic is very weird, but if you like watch the first episode, you're like, oh, that's what this is about. It's very, very interesting concept, and I wish I enjoyed it more to continue watching. But like I said, this feels like it was like a dry run, kind of like a pseudo pilot for Unicorn Warriors Eternal, given that like a Gendy show that's also violent and weird, but set in a weird time period. That's still like the same crazy aesthetic he always has. It feels like this could have been like a pilot for that. But I was
Interesting.
gonna say, the other thing was that this was just like Plague of Madness. This was like the crazy huge Emmy nom episode that was like nominated for a bunch like Plague of Madness was. And I was saying that this episode, while it was like very like touted for the story and quality of it, just like outside of the rest of the series, I thought Plague of Madness was like way, way, way better than this one was.
And you wanted me, and
like
I can't believe I'm saying
yeah.
this, Matt, but I
Mm-hmm.
actually agree with you. That Plague of Madness was a fantastic episode. It was in the same setting as, where Primal actually takes place and everything. And it was good. It was great. This one don't get me wrong. I see where they went with it. Like it kind of like it's supposed to be in the future, like
Yeah.
Darlington might actually be a descendant of Spear. Maybe we don't know. Well, we don't know.
That'd be funny.
Because there at the end when he went primitive, he actually did exhibit more of Spear than the fucking madman. Because let's be honest, Spear did not eat people. But the fact remains, I see where they were going with it, and I'm not going to say I don't like this episode. I kind of like it because it was a very good balance of a serious tone and silliness with Charles Darwin. Like again, to stress, my favorite part being the "and there you have it." Just after all that bullshittery that happened, but it was separated from the actual show. It was separated because it was like it's in the future, or to us still the past, but it's in the future of Primal, and it kind of just it of all, like the Plague of Madness was a filler, but it didn't feel like a filler. It still felt like it was part of the story. This one, it was a filler. It doesn't even it feels like a filler because it is a filler.
Yeah, I was gonna say we went over it last time during the episode that included Plague of Madness, but like that episode aired out of order after a crazy huge plot event when the 8 men seemingly like possibly killed Fang, and then people had a year hiatus, and then like Plague of Madness was the next episode they saw, and they're like, oh, so this show's not gonna have any continuity because like they're back together, everything's fine, they're on another adventure. But I'd say like that was another interruption. Like this was an interruption after fucking the Red Mist episode, but that like. Plague of Madness was so damn good that it didn't feel like jarring that there was such a huge like a jump in story unrelated to what's actually happening in the plot.
Yeah,
and like this felt like I like, okay, cool idea or whatever, but I would have seen back to the team after the fucking Red Mist. Like what the hell's happening?
I get you.
And now they have a huge new villain to like follow them and shit.
Right.
But yeah, this was not one of my favorites, and like I said, the Red Mist is my favorite of season 2. My number one is still probably Terror Under the Blood Moon, but this show is gonna go it's gonna go some crazy places after this, and I'm really much looking forward to the second half of the season.
Well,
yeah, I love the show to death.
Well, very, very as you may have already figured out, my new favorite episode so far is the Red Mist because I mean it's not like I just totally geeked out about Viking stuff. And Norse stuff, but yeah, no, I liked it because I mean I agree with you, Matt, which is something which is very rare for us to actually do. But I agree with you that the Red Mist is in season 2, and for me all time so far is like my favorite episode.
Oh yeah. Well, we still have plenty more adventures to get to in the next half of the season. Well, and then after that, we will finding out our next new series.
Oh, that's right, because the next episode we do of this is going to be the last one, isn't it?
For now, yes. Because remember, they confirmed season 3, no date, and that was like probably like almost like a year or two ago, and still no word from them about when it's going to happen. So I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, that's true. So, but yeah. Anyway, was there any final thoughts you wanted to bring up?
No, I love this first half of the season. Primal Theory was a great episode, but not one of my favorites. And fucking some cool ass actions coming up, and I can't wait to get to it. So
yeah, absolutely, man.
Some plugs and then settle up the episode.
Well, I can tell you one thing's for sure. I don't have plugs, so you go on with your plugs.
Nice. Matthew Lowe's Podcasts. Check it out on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, fucking everything. Patreon. Buy my book, The Forgotten Minotaur King. Listen to the episodes of The Forgotten Minotaur King as well. Movie Garbage hopefully will be coming back at some point. I don't fucking know. But like I said, we've been on like a fucking 4-month hiatus between these episodes, so who the hell knows when anything's happening. But as I told Ben when he asked if it's with this hiatus, my podcasts never die; they go on forever, and so
yeah,
come back.
I'm sorry for doubting. Like I was in like a very bad place, and I was just like, are we just dead? And you're just like, you looked at me and you're like, heroes never die. And I'm like, you get the hell out of here. You do not overwatch me.
I did my res, which is now just a regular ability and not actually the alt, so that's very much more useful. So yeah,
Yeah, but either way,
check out all my shows, check out all my podcasts, check out all my Instagram and shit. I probably maybe eventually start posting stuff on Instagram again. Who knows? But
seriously, guys, about that
episode to start a new series.
Yeah, but seriously, about the Forgotten Minotaur King things, seriously, like listen to those. And if you listen to his episodes on those, read the book. Seriously, it's gonna be amazing. But yeah, Primal was a very good choice, I'll admit. And with our other series that I've already announced, Metalocalypse. Hopefully this will be like the end of the edgy years, because I realized I'm like, my God, I literally looked. I'm like, yeah, we did Spawn, we did Castlevania. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. It's Castlevania, whatever. We're doing Spawn. Okay. Hey Ben, can I have a Band-Aid, please? Because I'm cutting myself on this edge here. And I'm like, Metalocalypse, and you're just like, I guess this is just my life now, as you're already bleeding from the arms.
Well, who knows? Maybe the next series be edgy, or we'll find out. Who knows?
Yeah, you'll find out. But seriously, like, anyway. Primal, very good show so far. Can't wait to see the next half of it.
Hell yeah. All right, well, we're going to sign off, and we're going to have more episodes coming very soon. Hopefully no more hiatuses, but you never know what the future holds.
Right.
All right, but in the meantime, everybody, make sure you...
Keep it sleazy. 3, 2, 1...